Here we go, BlizzCon 2010 Day 1. I've prepared a nice little recap for all of you of the first day of the event, and I hope I got all the news in here. I think I got all the good parts, but you know, I might have missed a few small things. You can find in the links below an absolutely huge post covering everything that happened on the first day in painstaking detail. And at the end of the show and in the links below, I'll just give you a few more sites that are doing some really good and in-depth coverage of the event. So let's get straight to the news. During the opening ceremony, Mike Morhaime came on stage and gave everyone a rundown of what's set to happen at BlizzCon this year. He spoke about the various custom maps that Blizzard are working on for Starcraft II. These include Left to Die, Star Jeweled, Ayor Chef, and Blizzard Dota. Yes, you heard that last one right. I guess another announcement that's semi-big is the World of Warcraft Moonkin hatchling pet that's going to be added to the online store close to the end of the year. They also announced that Cataclysm will be available for digital purchase and download before the game is released. During the opening ceremony, Chris Metzen also came on stage and spoke to everyone about what the word geek means to everyone around the world, and more importantly, to Blizzard Entertainment. Whether it's Star Wars, D&D, Superman, Azeroth, BlizzCon is a place where everyone around the world can gather and embrace their inner geek. So to me, the biggest news of the day, the 5th and final playable class for Diablo III was announced. The Demon Hunter has been revealed. You can head on over to the official Diablo III page to see the announcement cinematic and some gameplay footage from this deadly new defender of Sanctuary. They also announced their plans for new team-based arena PvP in Diablo 3, and you can read more about that on the new PvP page over at the official Diablo 3 site. Finally, they also announced that Tenacious D and all the Warcraft and Starcraft tournaments are not to be missed. So let's have a bit of a look in more detail at what actually happened on the first day of BlizzCon. The Diablo 3 gameplay panel was incredibly interesting, and I mean, really, how could it not be with all those big announcements that happened just before it? They went into quite a lot of detail about the Demon Hunter class, and I gotta say, I really absolutely can't wait to get my hands on it. Blizzard said they wanted a bounty hunter style vibe, and they also needed to fill the missing archetype of a character that wields bows and crossbows. So some of the aspects of this class were revealed in the gameplay panel. It's a conventional ranged class, and it's set to use gadgets, traps, and shadow magic. It was made to be dark, mysterious, medieval, angry, and sexy. Now that's an interesting combination. After the long talk about the Demon Hunter, they moved on to the new features and changes that were made to Diablo 3 in the latest builds. Traits are the new passive skills in Diablo 3. You gain them when you level as you would stats or skills. Each class will have a unique set of traits, and there'll be around 30 traits per class, and each of them can go up by 5 levels. They also spoke about the Talisman, the new system that's set to replace the charms from Diablo 2. It's a separate, if smaller, inventory that's dedicated to only charms that will either boost or change your character's stats in Diablo 3. After that, runes were up. There are 5 different types of runes: Crimson, Indigo, Obsidian, Gold, and Alabaster. Each rune will have 7 ranks, and they'll affect every single skill in a different way. You'll be able to do some really cool and quirky things with runes in Diablo 3. There are over 96 billion skill combinations in Diablo 3 at the moment. That's a lot of variety. PvP and battle arenas. These will be focused on team play, and apparently to succeed you'll have to spec your characters and gear them up correctly for PvP. These matches will be played in either 2v2, 3v3 or 5v5 formats, and they'll most likely be played in either best of 3 or best of 5. Other big announcements from this panel include the fact that there will be ranked ladder play for Diablo 3. You will be able to play custom games, and apparently the Diablo 3 beta is set to be launched about 6 months before the actual games launch. So I skipped over to the Starcraft cinematics panel for a few minutes. They were obviously focused on envisioning, directing, and creating the cutscenes and cinematic movies in Starcraft II. There was a lot of interesting stuff there, and I didn't really realize how much effort it takes just to make one short cutscene. We all knew how good the Blizzard cinematic team were, but wow, seeing those videos made from the ground up is pretty amazing. As I said, I didn't watch very much of that, but I will try get some coverage up in my recap post of the first day, so keep checking back here for more on that. The World of Warcraft Dungeons and Raids panel was just crazy filled with information. These guys just wouldn't stop talking. A few things that were brought up or put on the table were the new enhanced maps for World of Warcraft. These new and improved maps will provide detailed information about bosses, mobs, and loot in World of Warcraft Dungeons and Raids. It's going to work sort of like Atlas Loot does at the moment, and They say that you won't have to pull a boss and die to it anymore to know exactly what it does. After that, they previewed the Firelands raid, which is set in the Plane of Fire, and it's coming in patch 4.1. There's lava all over the place, and in this raid you're set to face off against Ragnaros and 6 other bosses. The Firelands is an outdoor raid similar to Mount Hyjal, and it's located north of Sulfuron Keep. Blizzard also mentioned that they want to release at least one 5-man dungeon with every content patch, a la 4.1, so that no one feels left out. Abyssal Moor is an instance on the Plane of Water and will follow up the story of Vash and the Throne of Tides. They say that this 5-man instance will have rising areas and you'll have to move around a lot while you fight, but it will be nothing like Oculus. They also gave a bit of insight as to what they were doing with the new and improved classic instances. They said they wanted to add content, simplify them, but at the same time make them more exciting for players to do. You can read more about that in the summary below. Finally, lastly, they talked about their raid philosophy in Cataclysm and how they wanted the raids to be more fun and challenging at the same time. They mentioned a few mechanics that they want to add, and they spoke a bit about the new flexible raid lock system. You can read everything I mentioned in the summary below, and there's also a pretty long Q&A session that you might be interested in too. The Starcraft II Secrets of the Masters was interesting to watch indeed. They started off by talking about the matchmaking and ladder system and all the interesting changes and improvements that we can expect from it in the future. Some of the stuff they spoke about we already knew about, but there were a few interesting tidbits and pieces of information that we hadn't heard yet. They had quite a long talk about the internal rating system, or MMR, currently in Starcraft II. They say that they won't be resetting the internal rating when they wipe the ladders for the next season of Starcraft II. Also, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 and 4v4 all run off separate internal ratings. Another big announcement is that Blizzard is actually working on new dynamically changing icons for Starcraft II's leagues and ladders. These icons will change depending on where you actually rank in your division. The Master and Grandmaster leagues were announced. The Master League is for the top 5% of the players in each region, and the Grandmaster League is for the top 200 players of each region. The last and probably one of the bigger announcements of this panel was that Blizzard are working towards building replays into Battle.net. Apparently they plan on featuring pro-level replays, or any other replays for that matter, on the homepage of Battle.net, and you and anyone else can just click on them to watch them right away. They also said that they're working on the feature to watch replays with a friend, and that chat channels are coming in the next month or two. After all the announcements, Matt Cooper and David Kim spoke to everyone a little bit about competitive Starcraft II. Another interesting little fact is that Dustin Browder believes David Kim is the best random player in the world at the moment. After that, they showed quite a few interesting scenarios in Starcraft 2 and covered what you could and should do in those situations. David Kim believes, even after the recent patch, that Zerg is still the most difficult race to play.